Hello, I'm Game Retainer, and in this video I'll be going over a handful of useful tips for clearing out Tier 6 or any difficult POI in 7 days to die. Keep in mind that I'm not going to include tips like bring meds and ammo because, well, if you're not doing that, that's just kind of on you really. So yeah, with that said, let's jump straight in. The first thing I want to cover is a couple of perks. It doesn't matter what your build, there are 2 perks that I recommend using for clearing difficult areas, or not even that, just in general, they're amazing. First is parkour. At the very minimum, you want to get to level 2. Level 2 parkour will allow you to jump the same height as zombies, meaning that you'll be able to evade and escape and get yourself into a relatively safer position. Preferably, you'll want to put all 4 points into parkour and become a parkour master, and quite literally it's like you're rondoing around on a pogo stick. It's incredible. You can just jump out of danger almost at will. The second perk that I strongly suggest you get is at least put a couple of points into pain tolerance. One of the biggest killers is a stun attack. If you get stunned, we all know what it's like, you get stopped. Everything just grinds to a halt. Having less of a chance to get stunned is, well, it's essential. You can use beer and other things, but I prefer to have points in the perk because then you don't need to worry about an effect wearing off because it's permanent. So yeah, there are other perks, but they're the 2 main ones that I highly recommend investing a few points in. I highly recommend that you carry an axe, some blocks, and a handful of hatches wherever you go. But for clearing difficult POIs, they come in very handy. The axe can obviously be used to help repair doors and walls, which can be used to keep zombies either in or out. The blocks can be used for jumping out of harm's way. All you need to do is 2 blocks up and the zombies will attack the bottom one, meaning that you can shoot them or hit them from above with no issues. The hatches, you can see I've placed a few down here. I like to put them at the entrance of a POI. That way, if I need to make a quick escape, I'm not barricaded in. But if a zombie wants to make their way in, they not only have to break down the initial doors, they've also got to sort out the hatches. You can also put these on the inside, obviously, between you and any room filled with zombies, which can just give you a little more time so you can start hitting the zombies without having to worry too much about them getting to you. As you can see there, it just buys you some time. One fantastic way of ridding a place of enemies is to get a chase going. Try and get enemies to follow you out to somewhere that is relatively open. US Army Post 7 is one of the best places for that because you can just run around the exterior and get all the zombies to line up. It will take a few run rounds, but get them all to chase you, keep running around, and in that way, you can kind of pick them off one by one as they come to you. The last thing you want to do while clearing a tier 6 POI is box yourself in, because you'll never make it out. So, run in a room, run out a room, take them out into a nice open area, and then pick them off as you go. Just be sure that you've got plenty of stamina, whether that's through armor or a consumable like coffee. Make sure you're not gonna run out of stamina. And then make your way around and pick them all off. Lovely and easy. Following off the last tip, should things get a bit too dicey, as you can hear and soon see, don't be afraid to leave. I know you want to finish the mission, I know you want to clear everything out, but if things do get too much, then don't be afraid to make your way out pretty damn quick. Whether it's climbing down the side of a building or just leaving through the door, don't be afraid to quit and come back at a later point. Yes, you'll fail the mission, but it is much better to fail the mission than it is to die. Moving on, one thing you don't want to do is get too comfortable. If you get too comfortable, you're asking to be killed. So as you can see here, I've made my way into the end room, and well, there's a lot more zombies than I had initially anticipated. This isn't good. As soon as you get injured, things can go downhill fast. To avoid things going awry, don't get too comfortable. Always assume that every room is filled to the brim with enemies, and that way you're just reducing the chances of you dying needlessly, which is always helpful. Get off me. The next tip is all about trigger points. Every single POI in the game has little thresholds that once you cross, or open or interact with, you will set off the zombies. There will be zombies in every room within a tier 6 POI. And as soon as I walk past that threshold there, you can see that all the zombies spring to life. So be careful when you're going from room to room, because there is a very high chance that that doorway or hole in the wall or whatever it is going to activate zombies. One thing you can do to help is if you feel like you're in a trigger area, like here, instead of opening the door, shoot through it. Get a few stealth shots in, you might be able to pick off 1 or 2 zombies before you get the biggest chunk of them. It just helps to take a little bit of pressure off. Just a quick honourable mention. Before going into any challenging POI, I strongly recommend that you place down a storage crate. That way you can just come in and out and fill it with goodies as you go. Just be sure to not put the chest within the bounds of the POI if you are trying to do a mission. Because if you decide to do that and you're double dipping, meaning you're going to get the loot, come out and then activate the mission marker, anything you put in the chest will go away. So make sure that you put the chest just outside the bounds of the POI. This next tip is a little bit of a questionable one, because it's cheating, let's be honest. Every POI will have a way that it wants you to go through. For example, the athletic complex wants you to start it here. If instead you make your way up to the roof and go around a different way, you can make things considerably easier. The game is designed so that each trigger point, each specific area that you go to, it's made to try and kill you. If you outsmart the game's mechanics, you can make clearing a place significantly easier, and you can completely take control of any attack situation. However, there are a couple of drawbacks of doing this. One, it can kind of suck the fun out of a POI. If you've made it easier for you, it's just not the same. The challenge is fun. It's not uncommon for the game to bug out if you've gone in the wrong way. Towards the end of a clear mission, when there are only a couple of zombie spawns left, you'll see them highlight as orange dots on your minimap. If you have cheated the system and you've gone over a wall, or you've taken the game in a way that it wasn't expecting you to, there is a small chance that those zombies will not trigger, meaning that you'll have to fail the mission or quit and then reload and try again. So doing this can be beneficial, but at the same time it does have its drawbacks. If you want to buy yourself a little extra time, you can use spikes and barbed wire to slow down zombies. It can be pretty useful if you are feeling a little bit up against it or you're struggling. It just slows them down long enough so you can reposition yourself. Unfortunately, should a zombie die while trying to make their way through some spikes you've set down, you will not get any XP for it. So keep that in mind. But in a pinch, if you know that there are some real tough enemies on the other side of a door and you don't think a hatch will cut it, or maybe you want to use it alongside a hatch, throwing down some spikes can be very helpful. Be sure to keep an eye out, or an ear out, for screamers. No matter what POI you're clearing out, you are going to generate a considerable amount of heat. And the last thing you want, especially if you're trying to clear out an underground area, you don't want to miss any screamers that are coming in above and that are going to shout and attract a lot of attention. So as soon as you hear the sound of a screamer, stop what you're doing, head outside the building, lop off a head, and then carry on with your day. Nice and simple. So I hope you found that video helpful. Like with most of my 7 Days to Die content, it is aimed at beginners. Veterans are more than welcome to watch, obviously, and if you are a veteran and you've made it this far into the video, thank you. If there are any other tips that you think should have been included with clearing difficult POIs, feel free to leave it in the comment section below, and hopefully I will catch you in the next video. Why is my character doing... What? Why is he doing that? It's a good job there aren't 2 zombies behind me, isn't it? I'm getting a lot of trouble for that. Well...